Hello, and my name is Susie, and I'm just going to tell you what I thought about Remembrance of the Daleks. Remembrance of the Daleks was an amazingly detailed story of two renegade Dalek factions, two renegade human factions, uh, the military, the scientific advisor to a military, a little girl who'd been taken over, Davros, and a romance that went astray for Ace. Bring back Ace. So she was manipulated by a sergeant in the military who was in civilian clothes the entire time, and he became her nemesis, her enemy, because he was working for one faction, or one fellow who was working for one faction of the Daleks, and the schoolmaster and this little girl were working for this other faction, and so there was over the course of the story, there was a character arc of Mike, of the sergeant, who ended up really alienating Ace, really making her kind of woo him, and he was wooing her, and then it ended up being a really bad thing for them. Yeah, it was a bit hard to watch because of so much. There was so much pain in their in the breakdown of their relationship. It was amazing. I mean, it was like a love interest for Ace, and she was allowed to grow up into a woman with a love interest, and only to have that interest betray her, crush her feelings, and stuff. And that's really hard for someone who is romantic as I am, to watch. Anyway, the two Dalek factions were the Imperial Daleks and the Renegade Dalek faction. The Imperial Daleks were white with little gold bumps, and then the Renegade Daleks were the gray kind from the original, or from like before. And the Imperial Daleks had the special weapons Dalek, a Dalek with only a central gun turret on the front of the tank, and the special weapons Dalek was a really interesting kind of thing. And the special weapons Dalek had this the ability to vaporize more than one Dalek at the same time, and so I mean, just an amazingly powerful weapon. Never saw it again, really, in the history of Doctor Who. And then as the Hand of Omega was used to both destroy Skaro and to bind together the first and the seventh Doctors, the Hand of Omega looked like one of those old altars from the Middle East, the ones from like 2,000 years ago or 2,500 years ago, with the four cover arcs on it, and then a very flat, and it was a sarcophagus type deal. And so and that's where Ace's baseball bat was placed inside the Hand of Omega, and as it came out, it was super powered. And then she used it to beat up two Daleks. She's unique in the course of Doctor Who, that she was the only one who beat up Daleks with a baseball bat. Anyway, so that was pretty interesting. And the Hand of Omega was used to had been used by Omega to create the power for time travel that the Eye of Harmony, the collapsing uh, the collapsing star into a black hole, the one that's before before it ultimately collapses, but in process. And so that was the power that the Time Lords used to complete their time experiments and to complete the power generation for the TARDISes. And the TARDISes were eventually they had an internal portion of the engine was an actual dimensional shift to that specific star that is collapsing. Anyway, it's really interesting. Journeys to the center of the TARDIS, and one of the Fourth Doctor's episodes talks about that thing as well. And the other thing that was really interesting that ties it together with New Who is as the final Dalek after all is said and done in the story, there's a Dalek that the Doctor convinces to destroy itself, and it spins around like it did in the Christopher Eccleston story Dalek, and so that was really interesting how he convinced it to destroy itself, and then the little girl was released from its power. Anyway, good story. I'll give it an ace. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. And keep on hooing.